Right guys, so back again, another week. Well actually we missed last week, but what we're going to do is we're going to tell you quickly what we got up to last week. So I got the engine out of Paul's old car. So if you're regular to our videos, you'll have seen that Paul's old car came back into the workshop. That was his first RS500, I think.
It was indeed.
So that's come back. I've pulled engine out of that and that's gone down to Harvey's for a bit of a refresh and rebuild. We've got the Duckhams car, which we kept saying we were going to get it started, and it's been sat on the ramp for probably a couple of months since we pulled it out. And it's one of them things that we're always like, we really need to get around to it, and it just never happens. So the other day we said we're going to set to, we went out, got some fuel, chucked some fuel in it, and worked our way through the, not big issues, but there was a couple of small problems.
No, we couldn't fix with a big hammer, Steve.
That's it, yeah. So you hit it once, I hit it twice, eventually it fired.
Of course.
Yeah, so we got that fired up, and then that's the car up there that we had the issue with the fuel, the fuel had gone off in the tank and the pump wasn't running and bits and pieces. So that's had a new tank and that's up and running. And then we picked up Paul's car from Silverstone Museum, so that's ready for a wash and a polish before that gets put away.
To be quite honest, I'm a bit devastated. Instead, they've given us it back. You know, it went pretty mint nick, and I don't know what's happened to it on his travels back, but I don't know where half of it's gone, to be quite honest. But they have offered me £7.15 compensation, haven't they, Steve? So
they have, which I think is very generous, to be fair.
Not all is lost, but we'll get back to this later.
But yeah, so there we go. So I'll hand over to Paul, and he'll basically run through in a bit more detail what's been going on.
Right, then we'll start off with this car. Obviously, it's switched workshops. It's gone from the old workshop to the new, and the only reason for that is we'll show you around the back. We've put the new fuel tank in it, so that's in and done. We've put a new fuel pump also on the car because, as we said earlier, the fuel had knackered everything really. We cleaned all the fuel lines out. We put brand new fuel pipes on the front of the car, all them are new. And she took up man lovely straight away, so we're happy. We've got a new battery to put in it, but now we're pleased to say this car's sold. So the reason it ended up in this ramp is we took it off that ramp because it was done, finished, and to test it. Customer came to look at it and said, can we put it on a ramp? And this is the only one we could really, it was easy to put it on. So that's done, sold. A couple of days that'll be gone. So that's another one gone. We're happy with that. Next one, Carl's car. As Steve said, absolutely over the moon. We had a few teething troubles and we said we hit it with an hammer. Well, I actually convinced Steve that hitting it with an hammer would fix it. And I was right, Steve, wasn't I?
Well, we was. You hit it with your purse and it fired into life. So
it started, it wouldn't turn. I said, did you hit it, man? Oh, no, hit it, man, hit it. And it went. Yeah. So it works. So we'll show you the good news. Well, that's if it starts. You know what these are like. So she should go.
Come on then, run us through the start-up procedure on this unusual.
Right, listen to that, right? This is a genuine touring car, and it has an ignition key.
So you turn up at circuit and realise you left keys.
You've left your keys at home. The only good thing is it hasn't got a steering lock on it. But honestly, this key works. We're not taking mickey. So we'll put battery on, and here we go. It actually runs really, really, really well. I'll turn it off because my eyes are stinging, and Steve always whinges about his eyes stinging. So as you can see, runs unbelievably well. Now that sort of surprised us, but didn't surprise me really, because this the Bosch system that's on this car is exactly the same as on my original DJR1 car, and that's the same. Press the button, fires up, idles and runs perfect from cold, which is very unusual for touring cars. Normally I won't say that word, but they're not good to start. And when you get them started, you have to play with throttle till they start to warm up. She runs well. So Yeah, it took us half a day though, didn't it really, Steve? Messing
Yeah, I mean,
about.
first of all, we wanted to make sure that we had oil pressure, because I mean, when was this last run that you know of?
At least 5 or 6 years ago.
So usual checks, make sure pressurised fuel system, make sure there's no leaks on that. Well, then starter wasn't running, was it? Starter was stuck.
And that's what we fixed with Big Hammer.
Yeah, we fixed that with Paul's purse, and then we went through the other startup checks. We ran the fuel pumps, pressurised fuel system, all the rest of it. Cranking the engine, we realised that we didn't actually have, the injectors were not firing, so we had no fuel. We had a good spark, but we had no fuel, so we obviously pulled the ECU apart. Oh, didn't pull the ECU apart, but we pulled the loom plug off the ECU.
And found some lovely wires just turned together, didn't we?
Someone's been into that at some point. And then basically the injectors were not getting a firing signal. So we had 12 volts at the injectors, but we had no signal to fire them. So we think what it was is one of the pins on the ECU plug was not making full contact.
That's it. Well, luckily I had 2 spare ECUs, didn't I? They came with DGR1. And they're the same ECU, so we didn't know whether they worked. So we dragged them down, plugged the first one in, nothing. So we thought, oh, it isn't that. Got the second one that wasn't screwed together and looked like it, you know, the one you thought would never run. Plugged it in. She fired up, didn't she, Steve, straight away?
Yeah, it sounded absolutely mint, didn't it? Yeah. It wasn't, not real noisy lifters or out like that. There was a little bit of a rattle from the exhaust.
Yeah, exhaust is rattling it back into
But
there.
yeah, it was happy, wasn't we, with that?
Yeah, so we got it running on the spare ECU. Thought, oh, we found it, the ECU's no good. So we thought, oh, we'll just try it. Plugged it back into the original ECU that was in the car, and it fired up and ran.
Yeah.
So all we can put it down to is just a bad connection on the plug that goes into the ECU, because every time since she's ran mint, it starts up like we said, no rattles, no clunks. So obviously what we'll do with that now is we'll pull it to bits, have a look at the engine, just make sure everything's all right.
Give it a sympathetic restoration.
You can't beat a sympathetic restoration. So that's what we'll do. And if it needs a full engine rebuild, it'll get it. The turbo will go away and get rebuilt anyway, just because obviously, yeah, it may work now, but one of them turbos ain't going to last long when you start hammering it around the track. So that'll go to Vince and Mark at, I can't remember their name. Tell you, I'm sure I'm getting Alzheimer's. Turbo Performance. So we'll send it to those guys. They do our turbos for us, so they'll do that one. Then obviously me and Steve will go right through everything, all the bearings, all the seals, rose joints, absolutely everything. Get everything on the mechanical side of this car. We want it as good as it can be. We'll do a bit of a tidy up on the bodywork. We're not going to spend a fortune on it. Put all the bumpers and body kit back white like they should be. Put all the Duckhams livery back on it. And then we'll go racing. So keep an eye out for this car. You'll see us doing it.
Right, so as Paul mentioned, I've been on with this last week. So I got the engine out of this. Story behind this one then is it's Paul's first RS500. Was running 548, did you say?
54.
554 horsepower, that's 6 counts. And
I remember it like my first girlfriend.
So it'd gone over to Ireland. The chap who bought it in Ireland obviously didn't realise that you can't just run it on pump fuel over there. So this will have been mapped for, I'm guessing, super unleaded at that time, 97 RON or whatever. Over there, it's a lot lower than that. So the outcome of that was a melted piston. And then after that, it sat on a ramp for best part of 11 years. So we've been back and forward with different ideas with the customer. We can do this, we can do that. We can map it on race fuel. We can map it on 88 or whatever their octane is. I'm sure somebody out there who watches these videos will correct me on what Irish octane rating is. But ultimately, we came up with a better idea than that, and that is this engine that you see down here. So that is Ford's finest 1.6 litres of Pinto.
Look at that.
Straight out of the beige 3-door.
You can just hear it, can't you?
What do you reckon, 70 horsepower?
I can just hear it revving now, Steve. I'm getting excited about it. I can just hear the tones of that massive exhaust system.
So that'll run on pretty much anything. You can run it on cheap fuel, you can run it on the best fuel, you can run it on brake cleaner, because that's probably cheaper than a gallon of fuel now.
I don't know why, Steve, but you just don't seem as excited about it as me. I don't know why. You're looking pretty miserable about it, to be fair. And you haven't even mentioned the best part about it.
Well, I think by the time rocker cover's painted and it's had a steam clean off, I think I'll be fully on board with this project.
But you're forgetting about the other benefit.
So it came with, I mean, I didn't know, you probably didn't realise this, but these 1.6 Pintos come with a 4-speed straight cut box with a quick shift on it. So the
But that's what we're telling customers.
reverse is somewhere in there. I'm not sure where it is, but
We don't.
But yeah.
We hope he believes us. We're obviously going to get rid of that oil leak by putting a load of duct tape or something around it.
so yeah, that's our plan with that. We think that's marvellous, that, don't we?
Yeah.
Be reasonably good on fuel.
Did you tell them the truth really now, Steve? Where engine's gone for that?
So yeah, really, what's happening with that is engines come out of there. I took engine out.
Just to prove he does do some work, look.
So I took engine out of that last week, and where that's gone now is it's gone off to Harvey Gibbs at SCS. It's having not a full rebuild, but he's going to have a look over it. What he's doing with that is he's going to put it onto a more modern management system, so it'll go onto a life management. New loom, the loom that he's doing now, initially this will have a dizzy on it, but the looms that he does give you the option to also convert it to run on coil and plug, or a coil pack. Just plug and play basically. So you can make the looms with both options. So you'll have the distributor plug on it and a coil pack plug on it. So that's having a full loom. The turbo, we found the original because it did have a big Borg Warner roller bearing thing on it, which is yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
It's having a T4. We found that in the boot. We found the manifolds for that. So that's gone off to Vince at Turbo Systems.
Turbo Performance,
sorry. That's gone over there. He's going to drill out the penny washer, roller bearing in it, bits and pieces. Harvey will engine dyno that. We should get it back just with a loom connected. All we do is take the existing loom out, put the engine in the car, power earth, oil pressure light, bits and pieces, alternator light and whatever else is part of the engine loom. And that should be up and running. So we're expecting mid-November for that back, I think.
Yeah, somewhere around
hopefully.
There,
yeah. Other than that, it's probably going to get a little bit of a freshen up. The tanks and everything under the bonnet repolished. And I believe the spec of this is more or less visual-wise to put it back to as it was when it was in the magazines.
That's right. The only other thing he did mention, he might want a little bit of work doing on the underside. But we're going to give it a steam clean off, look at it.
See what it looks like.
Yeah, we don't want to bring it up too much because he does want to use it. So
yeah, that's kind of that car. There's not much more else to say on that one. It is what it is, isn't it? It's not the biggest project we're doing.
Sorry, I just got distracted a bit there, Steve. I don't know why.
You weren't looking at that calendar behind
No,
me,
not at all, mate. No, definitely not. No.
So you probably are wondering what is actually happening with this, which then leads us on to the DJR shell. So I'll let Paul run through that and he can tell you what's going on.
A lot of you have seen this car. It's been floating around for probably 2 years now up on the mezzanine floor up there. Well, look, it's not there anymore. We got it down. We just pushed it off and saw what happened. Anyway, there was a plan for this car originally and the plan changed. We won't go too much into that because there's another part to this story that we'll tell you about later on. But
do we need to point out it didn't come back from Silverstone like that?
Oh yeah, just so you know, we were joking. Don't go ringing Silverstone Museum and saying, I want my car back out of there.
They'll be ringing up to see where the bit size are out for sale.
Yeah, it got out for sale. Yeah, so no, this isn't my car. Well, it is, but it's not. So basically, we're going to put this back together exactly as it was originally as the promo car. Everything's here. If Steve comes over, you'll see it's full of the goodies. So all the original body kit and everything's in here. It's all genuine stuff that was on it. So we even thought about painting it, and then we thought, you know what, we're not going to bother. Let's just put it back together exactly as it is, touch it up, clean it up, polish it up. We discussed many things. Do we put a Cosy engine in it? Do we put a V8 in it? Do we put a blah, blah, blah in it? And I thought, well, you know what, it did have a 1.6L in it originally. Let's just put it back together exactly as it was when it was the promo car. So that's our plan.
I think as we mentioned, or maybe didn't mention, if we then put a Cosy engine in it, you then have to start looking at all the other bits. So this is just a show cage. So this was put in, it basically went around all the dealers and bits and pieces. So there's a lot of places it's not welded, it's probably not, the tube and stuff. So you put a big I mean, you can see there, look, that it's not been...
You wouldn't want to crash in it, would you?
No, so then you put a big Cosy engine in it, then you've got to put a better cage in it, then you've got to put gearboxes and diffs, and you may as well just build a new car. So this has like history as it is. So
that's what we said. You know, the promo cars are quite important cars. A lot of the teams had them, and there are a lot of memories for a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people in Australia who've proudly put pictures up of this car, you know, when they were young nippers, and said, I remember this car 32, 35 years ago at so-and-so garage, and I got to sit in it. And there's a lot of photographs. So I think, to be fair, the car has...
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that door bar down there, you can see just how many people have been in and out of this car because there's no paint left on it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people quite attachment to this car, really. So I think it's only right that we put it back together, clean it up and put it back. You know, even these things like this that are all original, they were all put in it when it was done. We're going to leave them, you know, exactly as it is. And I think it's a nice thing to own. I think it's just got a bit of history. So that's the idea. We're going to do this in our spare time. Yeah, we do actually get some now and again. Maybe, you know.
That's so our spare time consists of the Duckhams car restoration, building this car. There's another shell to build.
So really, Steve, I think what we need to decide is we work 1 day a week on customers' cars and 5 days a week on our spare time cars.
Yeah, maybe we can just employ somebody so we can just do our own stuff.
Well, yeah, that's a good idea, yeah. So that's the plan. So that's where we are. So that's... What else have we got to tell him? We might as well just quickly show the shell out here, Steve, haven't we?
That's another job. We got quite a bit done last week, to be fair.
Yeah, we did, yeah, to be fair. Anybody wants any 1.6L bumpers? We've got some there. They're going like a budgie, cheap.
You may as well plug the sale of the interior as well, last week.
Yeah, you've got a point. Somebody did actually mention to me on Facebook, they did say to me what interior is in it, because he's got a, and I can't remember who it was. But get ready. Look at that interior. Hey,
nice.
Luxury isn't the word.
Look at that, windy windows.
For those of you that have seen that film or that programme documentary, inside Rolls-Royce, that's got nothing compared to inside the 1.6L Sierra.
It's a real shame that's brown, because that is a mint dash.
Yeah, well, don't forget, that can be painted and go in a 500, a 3-door, and that's the plan for it. We have actually got somebody who wants that dash.
So what's for sale?
Absolutely everything else.
Look at that grille, look.
Before anybody asks, no, the glass isn't for sale. The only thing that's for sale in this car, if it's any good to anybody, is interior trim.
Carpets, seats, bit of trim.
The only thing that might not be is the door panels. Because believe it or not, we can paint them grey, take that out, and we can paint those grey and use them. So it's basically seats, you know, clusters. If anybody's got a 1.6L, you never know. Somebody might want the bits. And then the last thing, Steve, is the Sierra shell in there, which is now completely finished. We've got it done, where Steve has, because he'll tell you I do now all day.
I don't have to tell them now. I think they've realised that themselves.
Oh, we forgot about this, Steve. We've started this car.
Yeah, we started that, yeah.
Yeah, the white one that was in there. We've had a big swap around. This one was in there last week. We've got this on the ramp. We've started working on this. Belt tensioner, water pump, service, new suspension on it, and a few other bits and pieces. So we're on with that. So that'll probably be featured in next week's video. And this car is finally done, cleaned, all done, ready to be picked up on Saturday by its new owner. We've got all the doors back on that don't open. Yeah, so we've got all them on. All the gaps are good. We're really pleased with the fitment of the wings after we'd unpicked them, as we told you about. We had to unpick them to get the J-jack towers in. And what we've done, tweaked them slightly just to give a little bit more clearance. But the customer's happy. That's the main thing. The customer's really, really pleased with this car.
Well, it's now a full Group A shell.
Exactly. And he's buying all the Eggenberger parts from us to fit on the car at a later date. And it is all Eggenberger, because we do stock a lot of Rouse parts as well. We've got all the front uprights of Rouse, and we do the Eggenberger front uprights, so we give people an option.
So have a look on the shelf. I don't think we've shown anyone on the shelf.
No, let's have a look. Come on.
Show them what you're keeping.
Coming into the erection section.
This is where we spend most of our time.
Yeah. There we are. Like Aladdin's cave, innit? So here we are. These are they're the Rouse specification uprights. The only There is another difference that we're not going to tell you about because unfortunately it's a trade secret, and I'm not joking. We're not going to tell you what it is, but there's something about an Eggenberger upright that's completely different. But visually, the only thing you'll notice is there's an Eggenberger one, and what you see is the Eggenberger one is threaded all the way through. The Rouse one isn't. The difference is the Eggenberger one has the insert tube. You can move the insert tube in and out, so you still get the same amount of travel on the insert shocker as the Rouse one. The insert tube doesn't move, so you get all your height adjustment on the platform on the spring.
Makes it difficult then to preload your springs.
That's exactly that. So we do both. So we stock the Eggenberger and the Rouse front uprights. We only do the Eggenberger rear arms, and the reason we do that is there's other people out there selling the Rouse parts, so there's no point in 2 or 3 people trying to supply the same parts.
So these are in stock, aren't they? These are not what customers have bought.
No.
These are ready to go. You could ring up and that's it.
Order them. That's it. We do none of this. Pay 50% up front and wait a million years before you get it. We don't take your money unless we've got it on the shelf. But as you can see there, we've got 2 complete Group A suspension kits on the shelf. We've got all the air intake ducts. We've got those in the carbon. We do them in the black, high gloss fiberglass as well, depending on what you'd like. We do a couple of extra bits for the road car boys as well. We do the Group A aluminium main rear hoop that go in there in the main hoop bushes. We do them.
Rear beams.
Rear beams, you can buy that separately if you wish. We've got the front rear anti-roll bars. We're adding to it all the time, Steve, aren't
we are, yeah.
We're adding. Yep. All dash panels. So there we are. That's what we do. So we'll just... is that it? Oh, yeah, that's it, innit? We were just talking about the shell. So that's it. So
all we've done this week?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And we forgot, we've got an engine there to do. This is an engine out of an RS500 road car, a low mileage, believe it or not, car that's been stood for many years. So we've got to strip that, check it, just go through it, make sure everything's all right, and restore that, get everything zinc plated, all the manifolds powder coated. We've got another one there that's been restored by somebody else, but this is going in a car that will be with us shortly, an RS500 that we're restoring, that's coming back from paint a week, 2 weeks time, something like that. So there's plenty happening, isn't there?
Just remind me how many of them no more road cars are actually road cars.
73 plus that.
Yeah.
So I think that's it, guys. We've that's what we've got up to. We've done all right, I think, considering.
Yeah, we have.
So there we are. Thanks very much for watching. We really do appreciate it. Thanks for your comments. We get quite a few comments and we try to reply to them as and when we can. So if please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends about us. And if you've got any comments, please leave them below. And we'll see you on the next video.